So good evening, everyone, and welcome to this year's Hugo Awards.
I am Afua Richardson, one of this year's featured artists here at Dublin 2019.
And I am Michael Scott, and tonight I'm proud to be an Irish writer.
Michael's work is, yes, worthy of applause. Michael's work is known around the world, and he's also a highly respected folklorist and historian.
I feel lovely of you to say that, but I'm so excited to be here tonight, honouring the craft of writers and storytellers.
You know, I couldn't agree more. The Hugos recognize the best in science fiction, and tonight we will celebrate this year's achievements and our community.
So we'll try and keep the show tight and fun and a little surprising, and I promise we want to leave the speeches for the winners. There won't be any long monologues by... No, really. Well, of course, this doesn't include the well-deserved and interesting remarks by a very important and, more importantly, a good-natured person who really can take a joke.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chair of Dublin 2019, James Bacon.
Thank you, Afua and Michael. Erganaúsla, honoured peoples. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it lovely to be welcoming you here in the Irish language? My name is James Bacon, and as the chair of Dublin 2019, I am very honoured to open this 77th Hugo Awards ceremony. I have a brief 15-minute set of opening remarks, and we can get then to the first awards. In all seriousness, though, the Hugos, here. Here in Dublin. It's just phenomenal. At some points it felt virtually unimaginable, yet with hundreds of fans all helping, here we are in Dublin. Tonight's awards are really your awards. The Hugos don't belong to anyone. They belong to all of us. They belong to all the fans. It is the fans, as members of this convention, or through their support of the World Science Fiction Society, who make this happen every year. Whether you are here with us or are a supporting member watching online, thank you for a great selection of finalists. The vote would not have been possible without the help from artists, editors, authors, publishers, and creative professionals who helped us provide this year's nominee packages. Thank you. My thanks and gratitude to the hundreds of volunteers and staff who have helped make this happen, and to the tech and events and production teams who are making this evening run. I am so proud to be a volunteer amongst so many passionate and dedicated fans. Thank you. Tonight's awards were selected in a democratic process, expressing the choices made by the fan community represented by Worldcon members. Like any healthy democracy, there should be lively discussion. And I expect there will be shocks, surprises, and unexpected winners. The winners and losers will be the subject of deliberation, discussion, and debate. To all the thousands of fans at home who are watching, tweeting, live blogging, and vidding, your engagement and passion for the genre is why the Hugos remain relevant today at the 77th World Science Fiction Convention in Dublin. I am sorry you cannot be here, but all fans are welcome. All fans can be part of the conversation. Think about the brilliance we cherish and love. No matter where you are enjoying tonight, you are a part of the Hugo Awards and part of our extended family. Our amazing finalists tonight deserve all the praise we can shower upon them. My thoughts and best wishes go to each of you, our Hugo finalists. Win or lose, know that you are loved, cared for, and fans will cheer and cry with you tonight. We're all in this together. So maybe there's a little bit more pressure on the actual finalists. Look, we have gathered here in Dublin, Ireland, and everything's ready. Please enjoy the show. My thanks to you all.
And now, with a brief word on award envelope security, please welcome the writer of tonight's event, Steph Herman, and the Dublin 2019 Division Head of Logistics, Brian Nisbet.
Good evening. My name is Stephan Herman, and much of what you hear tonight is likely my fault. It's also my pleasure to introduce Brian Nisbet, who, as the head of Dublin 2019's Logistics Division, is also responsible for our safety and our security. Thank you, Brian. Now, I have been asked to explain a little bit about our security measures tonight and how we got there, and how we kept tonight's winners secret. As you are no doubt aware, envelope security is very important to the convention. For example, we do not want a La La Land situation here at the Hugos. So as we worked on the ceremony, we came up with a few options to keep things accurate and, of course, in deference to Brian and his team, safe. So the first thought was that we would take a titanium cube, seal the envelopes in the cube, and weld it shut. And then we'd have the cube and use a guided plasma torch to cut it open on stage and pull the envelopes out. Alas, venue rules made that impossible. So, my next option I thought would be interesting. We would get a triple enclosure, starting with duct tape and cardboard, and finally a Kevlar weave, and then a really cool letter opener that is essentially a machete with a serrated edge, and we would just cut it open and pull out the winner in a dramatic moment. But venue rules again noted that that would not be considered safe, so finally we decided we would basically settle on a standard paper envelope guarded by a very large fellow named Stu. So, thanks to the Safety and Logistics Division, and more importantly, Stu, you can rest this evening knowing we've got this completely under control. No problems whatsoever. Thank you. And now, back to the show. Stu!
So, as is Hugo tradition, we begin this evening by anointing a rising star. Here to present the John W. Campbell Award for Best New Writer is Ada Palmer.
First awarded in 1973, the John W. Campbell Award welcomes outstanding new writers to the genre fiction community. Last year's winner, Rebecca Roanhorse, could not attend to present the award this year, but she and I corresponded about what we wanted to say. And in our discussion, we focused first on our excitement that once again, I'm going to say again, we're welcoming a brilliantly diverse group of new voices and new perspectives long underrepresented in our genres of literature to our community. And second, we focused on how many of this year's finalists for an award administered by the World Science Fiction Convention are authors of fantasy. In 1620, you see the historian coming through. In 1620, Francis Bacon published the first proposal for the formation of a community of scientists dedicated to exchanging ideas and collaborating to seek knowledge and technology that would improve the human condition generation by generation. When defining this new category of scholar, the scientist, Bacon described not a mere encyclopedist compiling unsorted facts as ants pile sand up in their anthills, nor dogmatists who, as he put it, weave elaborate spider webs of theory out of the stuff of their own minds untethered to reality. Rather, the scientists, like honeybees, would gather among the fruits of nature and, processing those fruits through the organs of their own being, produce something good and useful for the world. In this first and richest definition of science and scientists, authors of genre fiction are all scientists, all gathering among the fruits of culture, literature, history, scientific discovery, and social discovery, and processing those treasures through the diverse and diversifying organs of our minds, which bring into the world unrealities, which, whether fantasy realms, eerie near futures, worlds of cosmic horror, or alternate history, are good and useful for this world, which we make wiser by constantly comparing it to others worse, better, different, alien, or eerily familiar. In historical fiction, alternate history, and fantastic worlds, we genre authors and readers test thousands of governments every year, far more than this little blue planet could ever give us room to try. And by so testing, we yield questions and warnings and broadened possibilities which enrich scientific understanding, political science, and real action internationally. There are children striking for the climate around the world today because they have been inspired by literature about young people overthrowing dystopias and tyrannies far darker than any lived reality Earth has ever faced. In the last 3 years, as Earth has faced a surge of renewed authoritarianism and new technological forms of censorship and surveillance, sales of Orwell's 1984 have surged, but so have sales of The Lord of the Rings and of Game of Thrones and other forms of fantasy literature which help us think about tyranny and its overthrow. By this broad definition of scientist, all of us, writers and readers of genre literature of worlds other than our own, are scientists and contributors to the long and growing tradition of collaborating to make this world better with every generation. In that spirit, please join me in honoring and welcoming to our community 6 outstanding scientists of worlds beyond our own: Catherine Arden, S.A. Chakraborty, R.F. Kwang, Jeanette Ng, Veena Jamin Prasad, and Rivers Solomon. And with our high security envelope, the winner is Jeanette Ng.
Joseph Campbell, from whom this award was named, was a fucking fascist. Though his editorial... I'm sorry. Through his editorial control of amazing stories, he is responsible for setting a tone for science fiction that haunts this genre to this very day. Stale, sterile, male, white, exulting in the ambitions of imperialists, colonialists, settlers, and industrialists. Yes, I am aware there are exceptions. But these are the bones of the genres we were given. But from that, we have grown a wonderful, ramshackle genre, wilder and stranger than his mind could ever dream or even would allow. And I am proud and I am humbled to stand before you, a girl born in Hong Kong, to thank you for this. And Hong Kong, I'm sorry, you've given me a microphone now, so I have to tell you that Hong Kong is the most cyberpunk city in the world. The protesters are struggling with the masked, anonymous stormtroopers of an autocratic empire, and they're literally having, illegally, the largest gathering they've ever had right now, and they're going home right now from it. And I'm sorry, you've given me a microphone, and that is what I want to tell you. And I... Oh, that's fine. So, on a lighter note, my hat does a thing, so I'm going to show you it. Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations. From new creator to a new creation. Next up is the Lodestar Award for Best Young Adult Book. Presenting the award is the best-selling writer of the immortal Nicholas Flamel series and my co-host, Michael Scott.
The award show regulations, section 27(a), require that I say some variation of "the children are our future." But like all great cliches, it actually happens to be true. Young adult writers have a special responsibility, carefully tending to a new generation of readers, whilst also acknowledging that we have as many adult readers as young adult readers. This group of talented finalists carries the duty with style, and I'm honoured to have them as peers and colleagues. The nominees for the Lodestar Award for Best Young Adult Book are The Bells, Donielle Clayton, Freeform Gollancz. Children of Blood and Bone by Tome Adeyemi, Henry Holt, Macmillan Children's Books. The Cruel Prince, Holly Black, Little Brown, Hotkey Books. Dread Nation, Justina Ireland, Balzar and Bray. The Invasion, Padro Gillon, David Fickling Books, Scholastic. And Tess of the Road by Rachel Hartman, Random House Penguin Team. And here we have an envelope that we can open without a receipt inside. The 2019 Lodestar Award for Best Young Adult Book. The winner is Children of Blood and Bone by Tony Adeyemi.
Well, I am not Tomi Adeyemi, but I am, and my voraciously YA reading granddaughters are thrilled to accept this award on her behalf. Thank you.
The next award is for Best Fan Artist, or as I like to call it, clocking the competition. The nominees are Sarah Felix, Grace P. Fong, Meg Frank, Ariella Hausman, L'chaim Mia Serrano. Oh, you're right. See, I always jump to the gun too soon. Forgive me. Spring Schoenherr. And the winner is Mia Serrano.
Sorry if I'm still a bit teary-eyed. I cried when Jeanette started talking about Hong Kong. All right. Thank you for this honor. I'm humbled and encouraged and really rather awed by what this means. I would not be here without people who have lifted me up. R.B. Lemberg was the first editor to accept my foray into speculative fiction and encouraged me to get to know the community. Rachita Luen Ruiz opened and continues to open countless doors for me and many others. Aliette de Bodard has been a relentless support on top of being a brilliant inspiration. For their love, their belief in me, and their unstinting support, I thank the Idlers by Bamboo, the Nagy cousins I never knew I needed, and the family I have found in science fiction and fantasy. Kate Elliott, Zen Shaw, Tadia Thompson, Vida Cruz, Victor Ocampo, Cindy Pon, Alessa Hinlo, and my countless friends, my wonderful friends who have saved me countless times, Elizabeth Bear and Fran Wild. My friends whose stories light my way. There are so many of you, but I want to say the names especially of Amal El-Motar, Arkady Martin, and Steph Dickinson. And there are people who have found value in my art, even when I saw no value in it myself. Laura Keplinger and my Patreon and membership supporters, and everyone who helped me out and shared my art and found it beautiful, especially when I could not see any beauty in it. And to the one whose love and resolve forms the foundation of everything I have created this past 10 years, my beloved fiancée, Erica Norwood. This award is for me, but also for people like me, because art is not an easy path to tread. People who are now where I have been, young Filipinos especially, and creatives all over the world who need to be seen even though everything seems covered in darkness, and who are struggling with the weighty task of creation when they are surrounded by so much destruction. Nakikita ko kayo. Kailangan namin kayo. Inaabangan namin kayo. I see you, we need you, and we await you. Here's to the literature and art of imagination, to the worlds of possibility and promise that we find within ourselves through speculative fiction. Mabuhay ang sining ng pag-asa at pangarap, ng tula at alamat at awit, ng kathang isip at ng kalayaan. Mabuhay ang ating mga kwento at ang mga mundo na sama-sama nating inililikha. Mabuhay tayong lahat.
So our next award is special because it's often the launching pad for a new career evolution for a talented writer. So the nominees for Best Fan Writer are Foz Meadows, James Davis Nichol, Charles Pezur, Elsa Sunson Henry, Alistair Stewart, and Boggy Tokash. And the winner is, once again, it opens easily, and the winner is Foz Meadows. And tonight, the award will be accepted by Liz Burke.
I am enormously proud to accept this award on behalf of Foz Meadows, who absolutely deserves it. Not that everybody else doesn't who's on the ballot, but Foz sent me a speech to read for you, and I am hoping that my email will load so that I can get it out for you. So if you just give me 1 minute, talk amongst yourselves. I know, the reception is absolutely terrible. So, Foz says, I am deeply honored to accept this award and sorry that I can't be with you in person. But thanks to the magic of words and the goodwill of me, she says, I am able to throw my voice from one side of the world to the other and speak tonight regardless. This is the power of writing, particularly in the digital age, to speak and to be heard no matter where or who we are. Every day our words cross borders effortlessly, without visas, without hindrance, without guns or camps or cruelty. And yet the bodies of so many people cannot. A voice cannot exist without a body, but a body deemed undesirable is all too easily silenced. To accept a voice, but not the body behind it, I would argue, is hypocrisy. The internet has changed the world for voices, but we are yet to prove so welcoming of bodies. But what else are science fiction and fantasy for, if not for this? To postulate new worlds, new systems, new ways of being human, new ways of integrating voice and body and locus. This is why I write, and this is how I use my voice, says Foz. I am grateful to all who listen and speak with me. Thank you.
Our next award is for Best Fancast. If you enjoy this award, please leave a comment, a like, and subscribe on iTunes. The nominees are Be the Serpent, presented by Alexandra Rowland, Freya Marsk, and Jennifer Mace. The Code Straight Podcast, presented by Jonathan Stratton and Gary K. Wolfe. Fangirl Happy Hour, hosted by Anna Grillo and Renee Williams. Galactic Suburbia, hosted by Alyssa Cranstein and Alexandra Pierce, and Tansy Rainier Roberts, and by Andrew Finch. Our opinions are correct. Hosted by Annalee Nunez and Charlie Jane Anders. The Skiffy and Fanty Show, produced by Jen Zink and Sean Duke, hosted by the Skiffy and Fanty crew. And the winner is... Our opinions are correct.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, thank you. This means so much to us. Thank you. Thanks to all of the Worldcon organizers and to everybody who voted. And thank you to Annalee Newitz, my partner, my co-host, my hero, and the love of my life. And oh my God, we're so grateful for this. This means more than we can possibly say. And we're geeks. And I know, it goes without saying, we're geeks. And we believe that if it didn't get overanalyzed to death, it didn't happen. And that's why we do what we do. And this is such an amazing, wonderful time for science fiction podcasting. And we're so inspired by the Skiffy and Fanty Show, Be the Serpent, Galactic Suburbia, Coode Street Podcast, Fangirl Happy Hour, and so many other amazing podcasts right now. It's such a wonderful time for podcasting.
So podcasting, of course, is really about invoking community. And one of the many things that's given us hope in these extremely difficult times is being able to reflect on how this community here is telling stories that ease our pain, sometimes freak us out, and transport us to better worlds. We wanted to make sure that we thanked our wonderful producer, Veronica Simonetti at the Women's Audio Mission in San Francisco. She's one of the people that makes this podcast happen. We also wanted to thank our patrons on Patreon who help us survive as writers and podcasters. We can't live without getting money because capitalism. So thanks very much for understanding that. And I also wanted to thank my lovely partner, Charlie Jane Anders, and my partners, Chris Palmer and Jesse Burns, who couldn't be here but might be watching somewhere out there on the internet. So thanks very much. Bye.
So in ancient Ireland, storytellers were treated like visiting dignitaries. One, because they brought much needed news to rural communities, and two, well, you wanted to look good in their stories.
Fanzines represent this tradition today. People forming communities to trade tales and news and, of course, juicy gossip. From mimeographs and faxes to email and social media, the fanzine endures because of the people.
Because of the people.
That's right. The nominees for the best fanzine are
Galactic Journey, founder Gideon Marcus and editor Janice Marcus.
Journey Planet, edited by Team Journey Planet.
Lady Business, editors Ira, Jody, KJ, Renee, and Susan.
Nerds of a Feather Flock Together, editors Joe Sherry, Vance K, and the G.
Quick Sip Reviews, editor Charles Pazer.
Rocket Stack Rank, editors Greg Hollander and Eric Wong. And the winner is...
Oh no, you say that.
Oh. Lady Business.
Just give us 2 seconds to bring up the speeches. We weren't actually prepared for that. They are on our phones. We have them. We weren't that prepared. You read mine. Cool. So, we think it's safe to say that 2018 was a bit of a trash fire for all of us, and for most of the rest of the world. But despite that, so many wonderful people kept creating incredible media, and it was a privilege to caps lock about it with all of you. Or analyze it intelligently, depending on your preferences. We'd like to thank our fellow editor, KJ, and the co-founders of Lady Business, Renee and Jody, who aren't here, but I assume are fighting the live stream somewhere. And on behalf of all of us at Lady Business, we would like to thank our YA correspondent, Jenny, of Reading the End, and Anna. Who is our correspondent for Hopeful Media, Motherhood, and Short Fiction. We'd also like to thank Team Sparkle Rocket, the group who cheered us.
Them, those yelling right now.
The yelling ones, yes, who cheered us on and talked us down in equal measure. You can hear that. But most importantly, we'd like to thank our community on Twitter and Dreamwith and everyone who nominated and or voted for us. We love that this community actively supports a space carved out by us and you and many others, including our fellow finalists, for long-form intersectional feminist critique. This is our home and your home too, and we are proud to hold these conversations within it. Thank you. We appreciate you all.
We still do not have enough.
And now, the nominees for Best Semiprozine are
Beneath Ceaseless Skies, Editor-in-Chief and Publisher Scott H. Andrews.
Fireside Magazine, edited by Julia Rios, Managing Editor Elsa Shunjan Henry, Copy Editor Shell Parker, Social Coordinator Meg Frank, Special Features Editor Tanya DePass, Founding Editor Brian Whyte, Publisher and Art Director Pablo Di Fendini.
Fire, Magazine of Black Speculative Fiction. Executive Editors Troy L. Wiggins and Devon Sanders. Editors L.D. Lewis, Brandon O'Brien, Caleb Russell, Danny Lohr, and Brent Lambert.
Shimmer, Publisher Beth Wazinski, Senior Editor E. Catherine Tobler.
Strange Horizons, edited by Jane Crowley, Kate Dollarhide, Vanessa Rose Finn, Varjura, let me not get that wrong with a name like Afua, Varjura Chandra. Thank you. Chandra Sikra. There we go. Got it. Romy Scott, Maureen Kincaid, Speller, and the Strange Horizons staff.
And Uncanny Magazine, Publisher, Editor-in-Chief Lynn M. Thomas and Michael Damian Thomas, Managing Editor Mishi Trota, Podcast Producers Erica Ensign and Steve Shapansky, Disabled People Destroy Science Fiction Special Issue Editors-in-Chief Elsa Sunshine Henry and Dominic Parisien. And the winner is...
Let's get past
the security.
your hand. Uncanny Magazine.
Holy fucking shit.
Can I do one bit first?
Yes, absolutely.
Hi, my name is Elsa Shunnison Henry, and I'm the first deafblind woman to win a Hugo. There you go while I cry.
Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot. Okay, so I have a statement from Lynn and Michael Thomas since they can't be here tonight. We are deeply honored by this Hugo Award. It is a phenomenal group of finalists. Uncanny Magazine is the work of numerous people, so we want to thank our 2018 regular staff, Michi Trota, Mimi Mondal, Erica Ensign, Stephen Shapansky, Stephanie Malia Morris, Chimidem Ohegbu, and Caroline M. Yoakum. Our Disabled People Destroy Science Fiction guest editors in chief Elsa Sunisen Henry and Dominic Parisian, and guest editors Nicolette Barishoff, S. Chuyi Liu, and Judith Tarr. All of our submissions editors, every contributor, and of course, the Uncanny Penguin for moral support. And of course, our ombudsman and world's greatest daughter, Caitlin. Thank you to every member of the Space Unicorn Ranger Corps. We couldn't do this without the support of our community. Shine on, Space Unicorns. Okay. And I got one really quick. Really quick from me, I want to say it's an incredible honor to be among such amazing colleagues in the Best Semiprozine category. So many of you are friends and people who I look to for inspiration daily. The quality of your work is what keeps pushing us at Uncanny to do our best, because all of you set one hell of a high bar to clear constantly. Thank you for making SFF publishing a community to be proud of.
Okay. If you're disabled and you've ever been told you don't belong in publishing, or just the world in general, this award, this rocket ship, it's ours to use to reach the stars. Disabled narratives are desperately needed for our future. Disabled people like me will be in our future. We have always been on this spaceship. First, I want to both thank and congratulate my co-editor-in-chief of Disabled People Destroy Science Fiction, Dominic Parisien. Without him, DPDSF would not have been the incredible issue that it was. Speaking for both Dominic and myself, we want to thank our authors, without whom DPDSF would not have had the might of disabled words behind it. We also cannot go without thanking our personal essays editor, Nicolette, poetry editor, S, and reprints editor, Judith. And to Lynn and Michael Thomas for understanding that for undertaking this project in the first place and trusting us with the editing of it. As that first deafblind woman to be winning a Hugo, I am overwhelmed to be standing here with an achievement of disabled words and workmanship. Nothing about us without us includes us in our fiction, in our publishing, and in the world in front of us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Tonight, I want to take a moment to talk about inspirations. About what an inspiration means to a young black girl in New York City, and what it can mean across generations. Worldcon is magical. It can give you the opportunity to meet people who have inspired you. I know how special that is because it happened to me. My inspiration, like so many girls across the world, was on my TV in the shape of Lieutenant Nyota Uhura, played by the amazing Nichelle Nichols. Nichelle's visibility provided a mirror to see myself, as a space engineer or anything I wanted to be. Did you know that she recruited the first women of color to be astronauts? I mean, she personally went to convince amazing ladies like Mae Jemison to apply. Her example would extend across decades, back to my father, a physicist and a sci-fi fan himself, as well as my older sister, who's a senior engineer at Lockheed Martin, and she can't tell me what she does or she'll have to kill me. During long walks with my father, we would talk about everything. We'd talk about space, about escape velocity, about changing your phasers to stun. And we talked about the responsibility each of us had to help build a future where this fantasy was real. And we also talked about choosing the right heroes, and he was really proud I chose Nichelle. When I met her a few years ago, she was amazing. She was everything that I hoped she would be. She was warm and welcoming and just a pleasure to be around. We'd cross paths over the next few years and we'd pick up where we left off, except the last few times I could see that the years were catching up. And this year, of course, she announced that she had Alzheimer's. Nichelle Nichols helped millions of little boys and little girls see themselves in the stories that they love. She helped build a world with more and more heroes and villains across the spectrum of culture and color. Now she needs more than our praise. We need to support our heroes before they're gone, and I gladly accept the karma of what I owe Nichelle. I guess doing the responsible thing was just what my daddy taught me. A small down payment for the infinite debt I would like to pay Nichelle. And to all the heroes in our lives, we are here for you, and we won't forget you. So I am dedicating this performance to Nichelle and my grandfather, who passed this year, Edward Lee Jenkins, as well as Sir Melvin Van Peebles, who is also in the sunset of his life. These are people who let me know that my story is not the only story, that I can be the author of my story. And I will stand by them from now until I can't stand.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Won't you stand by me, stand by me. When the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, and the mountains will crumble to the sea, I won't cry, I won't cry, no, I'll shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Won't you stand by me? So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Won't you stand by me, stand by me. Stand by me, I stand by you. You stand by me, I stand by you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. I will stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you.
Worldcon has often been referred to as the science fiction world's family reunion. It is a chance to see our fanish family from around the world on an annual basis, no matter where we have to travel. It's such a large family that you don't always get to see everyone you want to see, even though they are here. Of course, not all family members can attend each reunion, so you don't get to see the ones who couldn't make it. Sometimes you can go for years without seeing someone, even though you know that you're both at the same conventions. And when you do bump into each other, you can pick up that old conversation. And then there are the family members who aren't able to attend the Worldcon for the ultimate reason. They're the family who are no longer with us, the ones we remember and pay our respects to for helping make the world of science fiction everything that it is. Some of the people whose names you'll see are as familiar as your siblings or parents. Other names may be strange, like finding out you have a third cousin once removed you didn't know about. but they are all part of the family who we will no longer see. Let's have a moment of silence for those in our community who are no longer with us.
Art can help you explore spaces you could otherwise never reach. Not necessarily the space between your shoulder blades, and for that you're going to need a back scratcher. But for new emotional spaces, you need art. From Middle-earth to Earthsea, mountain layers to deepest dungeons, this group of collected work opens the door to places you can only visit through the power of that artist. And the nominees for Best Art Book are The Books of Earthsea, the complete illustrated edition, illustrated by Charles Vess and written by Ursula K. Le Guin. Daydreamer's Journey, The Art of Julie Dillon by Julie Dillon, self-published. Dungeons and Dragons, Art and Arcana, A Visual History by Michael Whitwer, Kyle Newman, John Peterson and Sam Whitwer, 10 Speed Press. Spectrum 25, The Best in Contemporary Fantastic Art, edited by John Flesks by Flesk Productions. Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, The Art of the Movie by Raman Zahed, Titan Books. And Tolkien, Maker of Middle-earth, edited by Catherine McElwain, Bodleian Library. And tonight the winner is my all-time favourite book, I have to say, The Books of Earthsea, the complete illustrated edition. Illustrated by Charles Vess, written by Ursula K. Le Guin.
It was a big book, wasn't it? I spent 4 or 5 years of my life on that book, and first I have to thank Joe Monte, whose crazy mad idea was to collect everything that Ursula had written about Earthsea, and then the crazy mad idea to have me illustrate it. So that was good. And then Ursula and I collaborated through the whole event, and it was really a privilege trying to get inside of her brain, and what an interesting brain it was. So thank you.
Thank you. When I agreed to co-host the Hugos presenting the Best Professional Artist was one of my conditions. Being a working artist is one of the hardest roads you can travel, and I speak from personal experience. Being at this podium and giving this award is a small way I can tell my peers and nominees, and all the other artists, professional or not, your work is valuable, and we celebrate you, and your dedication, and your talent. This year's nominees for Best Professional Artist are Galen Dara, Jamie Jones, Victor Nye, John Picasso, and Yuko Shimizu, and Charles Vess. And the winner is Charles Vess.
God, I didn't even have time to fill out the form. Thank you. Again, I would hope all of you raise a toast to Ursula tonight. She was an exacting collaborator, and she always kept me on my toes, even when I didn't want to be on them. Sometimes she would just like, Charles, they don't wear clothes like that, or whatever. So she was wonderful to work with, and all the other artists that were nominated were they always, kick you in the butt when you see their work, so it's all good. Thank you.
Our next award is the first of two for editing. The first is for Best Editor Short Form. These are the folks who can ensure you don't mix your metaphors and your cliches with your gerunds and leave your participles dangling, because as we all know, there's nothing worse than a dangling participle. The nominees for Best Editor Short Form are Neil Clark, Gardner Dozois, Lee Harris, Julia Rios, Lynn M. Thomas and Michael Damian Thomas, and E. Catherine Tobler. And the winner is, it's Gardner Dozois. And the award will be accepted by Christopher Casper.
Unfortunately, I had my inner Gardner a little too well, and I really didn't expect to be up here, so I didn't prepare much. I really do know what he would say, and he would say, this award really wasn't for him. This award goes to all the wonderful writers that were in the book. People like Elizabeth, and Tadar, and George, who did some amazing stories, and he was just lucky enough to be the person that was able to put them all together and put together a great collection. And thank you to Tor for just giving him the privilege of being the guy to put them all together. And watching the In Memoriam today, it kind of makes me sad. Thinking of all my family that kind of passed, and thinking of Gardner, and then looking around here today and some of the young artists together, I know what Gardner would say is there is so much young and amazing talent that is coming up, and I think he would be so happy at the amazing young writers that are keeping this business going. So I think he would be very, very happy and very, very proud at the future of science fiction. I am blessed to accept this on his behalf, and thank you all for nominating him and giving him this award. So thank you all today.
The next award is for Best Editor Long Form. We would be lost without editors. Indeed, without editors, some writers would simply ramble on and on and on and on, descend, edit, and on. We'd continue with one long, uninterrupted passage even when the point is clearly made. So the nominees for Best Editor Long Form are...
Get on with it.
I heard that. Sheila E. Gilbert, Anne Leslie Grohl, Beth Meacham, Diana Foe, Gillian Redfern, and Nava Wolf. Oh, that was hard to get. Oh, this is one of those old envelopes. So. And tonight's winner is, it's Nava Wolf.
Wow. Okay, give me a second. Did not expect that. Hold on, it's loading. A common problem tonight. Okay, here we go. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for this. It would be a lie to say I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm a lot overwhelmed. Teenage Nava would not believe this if I could go back in time and tell her about it. It's a pretty amazing honor to be nominated for a Hugo, and a staggeringly amazing one to win it. I'd like to thank my husband, Naftali, who is home hanging out with the world's best small humans, Eliora and Ronan.
My parents, Debbie and Judah Rosenzweig, and 5 of the best siblings a person could ask for, Talia, Hidela, Chaim, Moshe, and Alicia, who I promised I'd mention if I ever won an award. I also have to thank my amazing team at Saga Press, who I'm honored and grateful to get to make books with every day, and the amazing and incredible writers whose books I'm privileged to work with. Thank you for trusting me with your stories and letting me be part of bringing them to the world. And to my fellow finalists, both in my category and on the whole ballot, I'm honored to be counted in your company. Every time I look at the list of your names and realize I get to be included in your number, I'm overwhelmed again. And thank you to all of you, this whole weird and wonderful industry, who welcomed me with open arms when I made the jump from children's books to adult science fiction and fantasy and started Saga Press 5 years ago. I've been so grateful and so lucky to have found a community with all of you, and it boggles my mind that I'm lucky enough to get to shape books and stories for a living. I've never been prouder to be a professional nerd. I'm overwhelmingly honored to accept this award. Thank you so much.
The next 2 awards are for the Best Dramatic Presentation. Think of how things have evolved. 30 years ago, we were looking forward to a new Star Wars film, debating the merits of the latest Star Trek series on television, or whether or not the next Batman film would be any good, or if the current Doctor would ruin the series. All things have changed. Kidding aside, there has been an amazing crop of brilliant and imaginative films and television to choose from this year. I'm amazed the voters were able to narrow it down to these finalists. The nominees for Best Dramatic Presentation Short Form are The Expanse, Aberdeen's Gate, written by Daniel Abraham, Ty Frank, and Nareen Shankar, directed by Simon Cillian Jones, Penguin in the Park, Earcon Entertainment. Doctor Who, Demons of the Punjab, written by Vinay Patel and directed by Jamie Childs for BBC. Dirty Computer, written by Janelle Monáe and Chuck Lightning, directed by Andrew Donahue and Chuck Lightning, Wonderland Art Society, Bad Boy Records, Atlantic Records. The Good Place, Janet, written by Josh Siegel and Dylan Morgan, directed by Morgan Sackett for NBC. The Good Place, Jeremy Bearimy, written by Megan Amram, directed by Trent O'Donnell for NBC. Doctor Who, Rosa, written by Mallory Blackman and Chris Chinball, directed by Mark Tarndarai for BBC. And the winner is The Good Place, Janet's, written by Josh Siegel and Dylan Morgan, directed by Morgan Sackett. And this award will be accepted via video by an actor and producer of The Good Place.
Hi, I'm Darcy Carden from The Good Place.
And I'm Megan Amram, one of the writers of The Good Place.
Thank you so much for the Hugo Award. We are so grateful. But is that what you were going to say?
Oh, no, you
Okay.
say that and then say, we're so sorry.
Yeah,
we can't be
okay,
here. Sorry.
great. So I'm an actor and she's a writer.
Yeah.
You can keep all this.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, let's try it again. Or keep this. We don't care.
Yeah,
Here we
this
go.
is real.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Darcy Carden from The Good Place.
And I'm Megan Amram, one of the writers of The Good Place.
Thank you so much for the Hugo Award. We are so grateful. We're so sad that we can't be with you in Ireland. We'll drink a ton of Guinness in your honor. And also just because we probably would anyway.
Yeah, we just like drinking. This is such a huge honor because historically sci-fi fans are not afraid to tell you when they don't like something, so we know we can trust you.
Plus, we're one step closer to HEGOT status.
Yeah, that's Hugo, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
You guys know that.
Well, yeah, they're smart.
They're smart.
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And now the nominees for Best Dramatic Presentation Long Form. Annihilation, directed and written for the screen by Alex Garland, based on the novel by Jeff Vandermeer. Avengers Infinity War, screenplay by Christopher Marcus and Stephan, it is Stephen, actually, McFeely, directed by Anthony Russo and Joe Russo from Marvel Studios. Black Panther, written by Ryan Coogler, and Joe Robert Cole, directed by Ryan Coogler for Marvel Studios. A Quiet Place, screenplay by Scott Beck, John Krasinski, and Brian Woods, directed by John Krasinski for Platinum Dunes Sunday Night. Sorry to Bother You, written and directed by Boots Riley and Annapurna Pictures. Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, screenplay by Phil Lord and Rodney Rothman, directed by Bob Perschetti, Peter Ramsey, and Rodney Rothman for Sony. And the winner is... Thwip, thwip, it's Spider-Man. This award will be accepted by Barbara Murphy.
We are here on behalf of the filmmaking team behind Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. We would like to thank Worldcon and the Hugo Award voters for this incredible honor. We would like to applaud the filmmaking team, including directors Peter Ramsey, Bob Perschetti, and Rodney Rodman.
Our producers, Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, Avi Arad, Amy Pascal, and Christina Steinberg. Sorry, we're so delighted. They created a groundbreaking movie, both visually and from a story's perspective. It had a massive impact across the world with audiences. Sorry, I'm just excited. The filmmakers would also like to thank Sony Pictures Animation and Sony Pictures Imageworks. Over 800 artists dedicated their creative energies into bringing this film to life, without whom none of this would have happened. So thank you very much. This award is for all of them, and we're just delighted to be here to accept on their behalf. Thanks ever so much.
When I was asked to do this, I was told it would be simple. Read out the shortlisted names, read out the winner. And to make it even easier, I was told, you'll be working with a co-presenter. So I could do this, I thought. Oh, and by the way, and you know you're in trouble when you hear the by the way. The by the way bit was this bit, the bit in the middle, when you get to address the audience for a few minutes. Talk about what you know, I was told. But we all know that what writers know depends on what we're working on at the moment. So that wasn't going to work, because I'm sure that none of you here are interested in the Welsh-speaking sheep farmers of Patagonia. Fascinating story. So then I looked at the attendance list, and I realized just who was coming to Worldcon. And I knew then what I wanted to talk about. Right now, it's somewhat disconcerting and more than a little daunting to stand here and look out over this room, filled as it is with writers and artists whose work have inspired and influenced me. The incredible Jim Fitzpatrick is a featured artist for Dublin 2019 and helped design the Hugo base. Everyone in this room has seen his iconic Che Guevara illustration. And if you're of a certain age and Irish, you'll know his incredible Thin Lizzy covers. He's also the preeminent Celtic artist. And when I was a young author, he was extremely generous. And he did the covers for my first 3 children's books. And I'm convinced those books sold on his covers because no one knew me. I was lucky enough to grow up in Ireland at the time when the iconic Harry Harrison and James Whyte and Bob Shaw and the incredible Anne McCaffrey, whom I adored, were living and writing here. I was working as a young bookseller then, and I was fortunate to meet all of them, and they showed me that writers were real people. And there are people in this room tonight whose work actively encouraged me to be a writer. Peter Beagle, Diane Duane. And you know, if I hadn't read you, perhaps I would have a real job now, but it wouldn't be half as much fun. I became a writer because I was a reader. And I believe it's true to say that this genre, our genre, more than any other, fosters the next generation. Ours is an extraordinary genre. I will argue that science fiction, fantasy and horror are part of a tradition stretching back millennia. I'm going to put on my academic hat now for a sec and bore you with some dates, but bear with me. Depending on how you define it, we know the very first modern crime novel. Voltaire wrote Zadig in 1748. Sherlock Holmes does not appear until 1887, when in Study in Scarlet. The first modern romance is considered to be Samuel Richardson's Pamela, which was published in 1740. Pride and Prejudice doesn't appear until 1813. James Fenimore Cooper wrote the first of the Natty Bumppo books in 1823. And that could be considered the first modern Western. But these are all young genres compared to ours. The first science fiction novel, the first fantasy novel is, well, argue that one amongst yourselves in the bar later. But I will suggest that we can trace a direct line from the 13,000-year-old handprints in the Argentinian cave of hands to today's fantasy art. Here are artists, separated by millennia, working to create something magical, wondrous and new. I will argue that the roots of our genre lie in the great world myths. Which ones? Well, take your pick. How far back do you want to go? The 4,000-year-old epic of Gilgamesh is a great contender. Every element of modern fantasy is woven through those poems. The great Hindu epic, the Ramayana, includes detailed descriptions of what we would call UFOs and accounts of vast celestial wars. In ancient Ireland, the Tuatha De Danann, the magical people, sailed across the seas in their ships of metal to conquer this tiny island. So we're talking about a genealogy. We're not talking about a genealogy of hundreds of years, as we are with other genres. We are talking thousands of years. And here's where fantasy bleeds into legend and fades into myth, which brings me back to Ireland, and you were wondering where I was going, weren't you? I was thrilled when I learned that Worldcon was coming to Ireland, because this has always been a country of story and storytellers. Our myths and legends live very close to the surface. This is a country where the Shanachie, the storyteller, occupied pride of place in society, second only to the ruler. They were the keepers of history, of myth, of legend, and you did not want to get on the wrong side of the Shanachie because you did not want to be immortalized for all the wrong reasons. Because those stories and the record of your sins would live forever. And because of the strong oral tradition, and because Ireland was never invaded by the Greeks or the Romans, our myths remain pure and unadulterated. I can tell you stories today that would have been intimately familiar to listeners from 3,000 years ago. This was a tradition passed down from generation to generation, as is happening here today, as we encourage the next generation of writers and artists. The Hugo winners of 2025 are in this room right now, and some of them have not yet put brush to paper or finger to keyboard. But they will, because they can look around and see all the others who have done it before them, and because we actively encourage them to do it. And because I've touched upon myth, but have not yet mentioned leprechauns, I'll finish the story about one of my writing heroes, Ray Bradbury, who by coincidence won the 1944 retrospective Hugo on Thursday night for his short story, King of the Grey Spaces. So in 1953, Ray Bradbury came to Dublin to write the screenplay for John Huston's Moby Dick. And to say it was a troubled process would be an understatement. He wrote a lightly fictionalized account in Green Shadow's White Whale, which was published in 1992, and it's still available today, and if you get a chance to read it, it is absolutely wonderful. Ireland had a tremendous influence on Bradbury. In fact, he claimed he became a playwright because of all the plays he saw in Ireland. The myths and legends of this country influenced his writing for the rest of his life, and he even wrote a story called Banshee. And talking of Ireland, Ray Bradbury wrote the following: "Landscapes of such beauty as to give you chills. It is indeed a haunted land. The forests, I am convinced, contain all the leprechauns that are claimed for them." So now you know, leprechauns are real. Ray Bradbury said so. Afua.
Hello, Worldcon. I'm this year's Hugo Administrator, and my name is Nicholas Whyte. It is amazing to be here. Growing up in Northern Ireland in the bad times, I actually chased down every Hugo winner that I could find from the local library as a teenager. I never dreamed that one day I'd be administering the awards myself or standing here and sharing the results with you. I need to thank a number of people who have made all of this possible. My deputy, Sanna Lopri-Vihinen, the WSFUS division head, Vince Doherty, the deputy division head, Mark Meenan, the software gurus, Emily Arrow, Arno Kobel, and especially David Matthewman, who not only engineered the rather fine voting interface that you will have all used, but also, I'm glad to say, lent me these rather spiffy TARDIS cufflinks for this evening. So thank you, David. Must also thank eligibility researchers Claire Briley and Mark Plummer, the Hugo Packet team, Kathy Bond, Kat Jones, and Christina, missed the name. Ian Moore, our head Hugo wrangler, Isla Khan supporting the division, Neil Harrison, who lent a hand at the start, Rebecca Hewitt, Brent Smart, and Terry Neal on the Hugo Help Desk. And on the creative side, James Shields, Fiona O'Sullivan, Mark Slater, who between them generated the amazing nominations video, Eleanor Wheeler and Jim Fitzpatrick for the beautiful bass, and Joshua Beattie and the whole events team for showing us such a good time this evening. Also, my wife Anne for her support through times of Hugo frenzy, and James Bacon for everything. $3,097 votes were cast on the final ballot, 3,089 online, and 8 on paper. We know who you are. At nomination stage, the number was 1,800 in total, 1,797 electronic and 3 on paper. 2 of the categories that we're hearing about this evening were decided by margins of less than 10 votes. Every vote counts, and every vote was counted. The full statistics will be available online once the ceremony is over. Some of the finalists are going to go home with these lovely trophies tonight. All of the finalists, I think, are winners, whether you came first or 6th in your category. I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody who's participated, everybody who voted, and everybody who's helped to make this happen. And I want to thank you for sharing your joy and love of science fiction and fantasy, which is why we're here. And now I get to hand out one of these beautiful awards. It is one of the best fringe benefits of the position. And I'm honoured to present one of our newest awards, which is the Hugo for Best Series. A completed series can represent the capstone of a long building project. It reflects the evolution of an artist's craft and career. The works nominated tonight represent a deep commitment of time, toil, sweat, and tears, and all of them deserve the recognition that they've received here tonight. The nominees for Best Series are The Sentinel Cycle by Malka Older from Tor.com Publishing, The Laundry Files by Charlie Strauss, most recently from Tor.com Publishing Orbit, Machineries of Empire by Yoon Ha Lee from Solaris, The October Day series by Seanan Maguire, most recently by Dole, The Universe of Shuya by Aliette de Bodard, most recently from Subterranean Press, and Wayfarers by Becky Chambers from Hodder and Stoughton, Harbour Voyager. I know who won, but I'll open the envelope anyway for the drama. And the winner of the 2019 Hugo Award for Best Series is Wayfarers by Becky Chambers.
Hi. While I get my phone, my wife's watching at home, and I love her so much, and I really wish she was here. It was our anniversary 3 days ago, and I'm here with you losers instead, so... This Worldcon is something of an anniversary for me. In 2014, I went to my first Worldcon in London. I was nobody. I was nervous. I'd come to the con with 3 copies of my self-published novel that I couldn't figure out how to talk about. I watched from the edges as old friends hugged and laughed and caught up. But people saw me somehow, and they made space. They bought drinks. They treated me like I belonged there. I left the con with a bunch of warm fuzzies, and those were still present 5 months later when some random person I had a beer with at a party reached out, offered a book deal, and became my first editor. If it had stopped there, I would have been happy with that. But there were more stories I wanted to tell, and I told them, and the ones I'm still writing, because of you. Because of everyone who wrote me a kind email that happened to arrive on a day when I thought I sucked, to everyone who came to subsequent cons and bookshops to share beautiful pieces of themselves, to everybody who became a friend that I only see here, where we hug and laugh and catch up. It may be my name on this thing, but I never forget for a second that this series exists because of the kindness of strangers and the weird, wonderful family that meets once a year. So this one's for you, Worldcon. Thank you for letting me pull up a chair.
Hello again. As featured artists this year, it's no surprise that I wanted to present the breast, oh goodness. Didn't want to do that. I did, however, want to present the best graphic story, Hugo. Comics have been my art and my livelihood and my refuge. Telling stories through art has let me reach people around the world. Because I'm here in Ireland with you guys. I am so privileged to have the opportunity to communicate through the art of storytelling. And the works by these nominees is all the explanation you need if you want to understand how this art form continues to grow in vibrant and new directions. The nominees for Best Graphic Story are Abbott, written by Saladin Ahmed, and art by Semiprozine, colors by Jason Wordy, and letters by Jim Campbell for Boom Studios. Black Panther, Long Live the King, written by Nedia Corfor and Aaron Covington, art by Andre Lima Urajo, Mario Di Pinino, and Tana Ford for Marvel. Monstrous, Volume 3, Haven, written by Marjorie Liu and art by Sana Takeda for Image Comics. Paper Girls, Volume 4, written by Brian K. Vaughan and art by Cliff Chang, colors by Matt Wilson, and letters by Jared K. Fletcher for Image Comics. And Saga, Volume 9, written by Brian K. Vaughan and art by Fiona Staples for Image Comics. Did I miss one? Did I know? Oh, you are certainly right. Wait, oh, it's all like blurred together. It's so tiny between there. Okay, On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden for a second. Not at all. And the winner is Monstrous, Volume 3. This award will be accepted by Nicole Kimberlin.
Hi, I'm sorry I'm not Sana Takeda or Marjorie Liu, but on their behalf, I very, very humbly thank you all for your support and for, once again, showing how much you love this comic as much as, well, I do, and as much as they do. So thank you so much.
So when I'm not writing fiction about myths and legends, I live in a fantasy world called academia. And trust me, the cons are not half as much fun. Tonight's nominees bring together both of these worlds. The finalists all take elements of fiction and non-fiction and combine them in a beautiful synthesis. This year's nominees for Best Related Work are Archive of Our Own, a project of the Organisation for Transformative Works. Astounding, John W. Campbell, Isaac Asimov, Robert A. Heinlein, L. Ron Hubbard, and the Golden Age of Science Fiction by Alec Neville Lee, Day Street Books. The Hobbit Duology, a documentary in 3 parts, written and edited by Lindsay Ellis and Angelina Meehan, YouTube. An Informal History of the Hugos, a personal look back at the Hugo Awards 1953 to the year 2000 by Joe Walton from Tor. www.mexicanixinitiative.com, the Mexicanics Initiative experience at Worldcon 76. Julia Rios, Libya Brenda, Pablo Di Fandini, and John Picasso. Ursula K. Le Guin, Conversations on Writing by Ursula K. Le Guin with David Nyman, published by Tin House Books. And tonight's winner is Archive of Our Own.
Thank you all. All fan work, from fanfic to vids to fan art to podfic, centers the idea that art happens not in isolation, but in community. And that's a line that I stole from one of my fellow acceptors tonight. And that is true of the AO3 itself. We're up here accepting, but only on behalf of literally thousands of volunteers and millions of users, all of whom have come together and built this thriving home for fandom, a nonprofit and non-commercial community space built entirely by volunteer labor and user donations on the principle that we needed a place of our own that was not out to exploit its users, but to serve them. Even if I listed every founder, every builder, every tireless support staff member and translator and tag wrangler, if I named every last donor, all our hard work and contributions would mean nothing without the work of the fan creators who share their work freely with other fans, and the fans who read their stories and enjoy their art, and comment and share bookmarks and give kudos to encourage them and nourish the community in their turn. This Hugo will be joining the traveling exhibition that goes to each Worldcon because it belongs to all of us. And I would like to ask that we raise the lights, and for all of you who feel like a part of our community, to please stand up for a moment and share this with us. Please stand up.
Stretch. Let's see if I can get through this without moshing it up. It is time to present the Hugo Award for Best Short Story. Science fiction is fertile ground where new work in old prose can pop up or a new talent can announce its arrival. This year's nominees for Best Short Story are The Court Magician. Was so close. By Sarah Pinksker. Lightspeed, January 2018. The Rose McGregor Drinking and the Admiration Society by T. Kingfisher. Man, don't give a dyslexic girl lines to read. Uncanny Magazine, November to December 2018. The Secret Lives of the 9 Negro Teeth of George Washington by P. Jelly Clark. Fireside Magazine, February 2018. Stead by Sarah Gailey. Fireside Magazine, October 2018. The Tale of the Three Beautiful Raptor Sisters and the Prince Who Was Made of Meat. By Brooke Bolander, Uncanny Magazine, 23, July-August 2018. A Witch's Guide to Escape, a practical compendium of portal fantasies by Alex E. Harrow for Apex Magazine, February 2018. And the winner for Best Short Story is A Witch's Guide to Escape, a practical compendium of portal fantasies by Alex E. Harrow. This award will be accepted by Marguerite Smith.
Those of you who saw me in the retros will know that I am not Alex. I am accepting on behalf of Alex for Worldcon. And this is an amazing speech. It's funny, you think writing is a lonely business until you sit down to thank the people that made it possible. Here follows an incomplete list of people and things without whom this story would not exist. My elementary school library, which was terrible. My mum and dad, who gave me a much better one. My kids, who took all my time away. And my husband, who gave it back. Laura Blackwell, who read it first. The Apex team, who published it after an undisclosed but high number of rejections. And everyone who read or shared or liked or retweeted or otherwise spread it around afterwards. And I would like to thank all the other nominees, the storytellers and mythmakers, the world builders and world wreckers, the really talented liars I shared this ballot with. Your stories fill my bookshelves and build my libraries. They give me ways out when I need them most, and I'm grateful. I'm especially grateful that my library keeps growing, that my kids will have more than Middle-earth or Hogwarts to escape into. They'll have stories about indigenous monster slayers and lady astronauts, about vengeful teeth and Vietnamese space detectives. Thank you so much for all of the hours you've given me on the other side of the looking glass. Thank you.
So, imagine, if you will, an idea. It's a good idea with some interesting characters. More than a short story, it needs to run and breathe a little. And yet it doesn't quite have enough petrol, gas to my American cousins, to get it much further. This little idea becomes a novelette, a well-crafted gem, just right for when you're on hold with the mobile phone company. That's cell phone to our American cousins. The nominees for Best Novelette are If at First You Don't Succeed, Try Again, Zen Show, Barnes & Noble Sci-Fi and Fantasy Blog, 29 November 2018. The Last Banquet of Temporal Confections by Tina Connolly, Tor.com, 11 of July 2018. 9 Days on Planet Earth, Darrell Gregory, Tor.com, 19th of September 2018. The Only Harmless Great Thing by Brooke Brolander, Tor.com Publishing. The Thing About Ghost Stories by Naomi Kritzer, Uncanny Magazine, 25 November-December 2018. And When We Were Starless by Simone Heller, Clark's World 145, October 2018. And tonight the Hugo for Best Novelette goes to If at First You Don't Succeed, Try Again. Zen Show.
I mean, this is really rubbish because there have been some fantastic speeches, and I've got a bullet point list of names. Because I was like, not going to win, and also I'm really great at giving off-the-cuff speeches. So great ego there. So first off, I want to thank the Idlers by Bamboo, surely now the most garlanded group of anime fanfic nerds who knew each other on LiveJournal 15 years ago. Thanks, guys. And it's because it's the product of Idlers by Bamboo. The story is about Animugi, the failboat of the mythological world. It's a Korean mythological creature. Most of the stuff on the internet about it is in Korean. Ask me how I know. I don't speak Korean. So huge thanks to Miri Kim and Hana Lee for telling me about the Animugi, helping me with research, names, Instagram hashtags in her Korean. Again, Hannah, Perrin Liu, and Cara Lee for beta reading, Joel Cunningham of BNN SFF blog for soliciting, buying, and editing the story, and giving it a lovely cover by Shirley Jackson. I just wanted to say it's a story about failure, crashing failure, and I wrote it because I felt like a crashing failure. And I'm really thankful to all of you who voted for the story, for turning my years of failure into this glorious moment of success. Thank you very much.
Once upon a time, there was a writer who tried to find the right size for an idea. Well, he tried to write a novel, but it was too long. And he tried to write a novella. Oh, actually, wrote a short story, and it was just too short. He tried to write the novella, and that was just right. The nominees for Best Novella are Artificial Condition by Martha Wells, Tor Publishing. Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shannon McGuire, Tor Publishing. Binti, The Night Masquerade by Nnedi Okorafor, Tor Publishing. The Black God's Drums by P. Jelly Clark, Tor Publishing. Gods, Monsters, and the Lucky Peach by Kelly Robeson, Tor Publishing. The Tea Master and the Detective by Elliot de Baudard, Subterranean Press and Jabberwocky Literary Agency. And the winner is Artificial Condition by Martha Wells.
Thank you. I really didn't expect to win, fortunately I didn't have it on my phone. I have a little piece of paper, which is not going to take any time to load. So, thank you to everyone who voted for Murderbot and its friend, Asshole Research Transport. I'm absolutely thrilled to accept this award on their behalf. This is a huge honor, especially considering the other fantastic novellas in this category. I really wish there was an option for all of the above. I'm just so honored that you picked me out of this incredible field of novellas. I would also like to thank my agent, Jennifer Jackson, Michael Curry, and also my editor, Lee Harris, publisher, Irene Gallo, and everyone else at Tor.com, and my awesome audiobook narrator, Kevin R. Free, and everyone at Recorded Books, and cover artist Jamie Jones, and cover designer Christine Folter. And thanks and love to my husband, Troyce Wilson. Thank you.
Well, here we are at the final award of the evening, the Hugo for Best Novel. This category is our best picture, so we felt strongly that this special award requires a special guest. You'd think it'd be hard to pick one, and we were certainly spoiled for choice. Turns out, one name jumped out immediately. Science fiction and its fandom is passionate about frontiers, and of course there's only one final frontier. So clearly, the best way to have our cake and to eat it too is to have a real astronaut present tonight's Best Novel Award. Everyone, please welcome to the stage NASA astronaut, Dr. Jeanette Epps.
Thank you so much. It is my absolute honor to be on this stage to present the Hugo for the Best Novel. So many of my colleagues can point to science fiction as the reason they chose to pursue a career in engineering, science, and mathematics. It was the dreams of science fiction writers that fueled the voyages beyond Earth that continue today. Tonight's nominees are lighting the spark for the next generation of astronauts, engineers, scientists, and artists, and they definitely inspire me. The nominees for the 2019 Best Novel are The Calculating Stars by Mary Robinette Kowal, Tor. Record of a Spaceborne Few by Becky Chambers, Hodder and Stoughton, Harper Voyager. Revenant Gun by Yoon Ha Lee, Solaris. Space Opera by Catherine Ann M. Valente, Saga. Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, Del Rey Macmillan. Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse, Saga. And the winner is The Calculating Stars by Mary Robinette Kowal.
So, first of all, that's in my cleavage. But it turns on immediately. Secret is to keep it warm. So that's a real lady astronaut, and I write these lady astronaut books. I'm fine. There are so many people to thank, and I will not be able to thank them in the detail that they deserve. My acknowledgements are really super long, but there are some people that I want to recognize. Alessandra Meekum, Liz Gorinsky, who is my editor for these books, Seth Fishman, Robert Kowal, who is my husband, and sorry that I'm not home, sweetie. I understand that it's really hot in Nashville right now. My mom and dad, my niece Catherine Harrison, who's up there someplace and came with me for this, Andrew Twiss, who's my audiobook engineer, Chell Lindgren and Katie Coleman, who are both astronauts and helped me, Hani Beckman, Shayna Gifford, who's also here. If you find her, buy her a drink, Derek Binkowski, Stephen Grenade, and to all my beta readers and Writing Excuses gang. Over 500 people have been into space, and above you right now there are people living and working in space and have been continuously for the past 20 years. 64 of them have been women. That's it. And one of the things that I do when I start writing is that I look in history for the women, the people of color, the LGBTQ, the people with disabilities. I assume that they were present and that they have been erased from the narrative. These are stories that aren't told, and often they're more interesting than the ones that have been focused on over the years. For instance, I'm in Ireland, and I was curious about who the first Irish woman pilot was, so I went looking. Her name is Lillian Bland. Not only, it turns out, was she the first Irish woman pilot, she was the first woman in the world to design, build, and fly an airplane in 1910. And I'm willing to bet that most of you in this room have never heard of her. She's amazing. So I try to bring the people who were actually there back into focus. Calculating Stars led me to the First Lady Astronaut Trainees, the Flats. They are more commonly known today as the Mercury 13. These were 13 women who went through training, testing to see whether or not they could be astronauts, and they tested, for the most part, better than the men. The reason that they got tested was Lovelace, Dr. Lovelace, was interested in women in space. Because if we were going to have a long-term presence in space, we would need secretaries and receptionists. No, we are so much more. We are pilots and scientists and writers and artists and authors and astronauts. So this award is for the First Lady Astronaut Trainees. This is for Jerry Cobb, Bernice Stedman, Janie Hart, Jerry Truehill, Rhea Woltman, Sarah Ratley, Jane and Marion Dietrich, Myrtle Cagel, Irene Leverton, Jean Nora Jessen, Jean Hickson, and Wally Funk. And to everyone else who's been pushed into the margins, I promise I know you were there. I know that you are still there. I see you, and I will make sure you are in my fiction. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to all the winners and nominees, and thank you to the Irish Video Game Orchestra, James Bacon, Nicholas Whyte, and of course, Dr. Jeanette Epps.
On behalf of Ireland, Dublin, and Worldcon 2019, and the World Science Fiction Society, good night and thank you so much.
Would all award winners and award presenters please come to the stage for photographs? Thank you.